It's the Kyle Heimann Show on Redeemer Radio.
Yes, and I'm not going to be the one to tell you that like changing a diaper is a prayer. I mean, that's not. I would choose other words for that. Like, it's a sacrifice.
Yeah. It's time for Morning Jolt with Sister Ignatia Henneberry from the Sisters of St. Francis of Perpetual Adoration.
Wake up!
Welcome to Morning Jolt with Sister Ignatia. I'm Kyle Heimann here with Sister and changing things up a little bit, and we're outdoors.
Oh, yeah.
On the campus of, what do you call this place? Is there a name for it?
Oh, a couple names. St. Francis Convent Mount Alverno is our like endearing name for it.
What's Mount
Alverno is that's the mountain that St. Francis was on to receive the stigmata. So
okay.
And you are on the highest point in St. Joseph County.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's not.
It's a little hard to breathe up here now that you say that.
Oh, man. Yeah.
No, it's very beautiful. You have
is,
a very nice campus.
Oh, yeah.
This is not only convent, but you've got some other offices up here and stuff too.
Yeah. At the bottom of the hill is where our corporate office is for our healthcare system. Yeah. And then our sisters that need nursing care, everything's connected up here. So then all inclusive up here. It's nice.
So people might be able to hear we've got a nice breeze. There's some birds out. It seems very Franciscan to be kind of in nature here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the trails in the woods are nice. And
oh, nice.
Yeah. I'm really thankful. Yeah.
So what is something that you didn't expect about being a sister, maybe for good or for...
Ooh.
That wasn't what I was thinking I was getting myself into. Were there any big surprises? Either before, like as a postulant, you like, oh, this is different than I was expecting.
I think the first thing that I thought of when you said that was, wow, I didn't know people were that different. You know, like like you're coming to live with... Like
different people are different from each other.
Me,
not
from
sisters are different from lay people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The people that I'm living with are like, oh, wow, I am not like them and they're not like me. And that's okay. But like, that's where the good and the bad all happens is when realizing that like, okay, God created everyone so different and it's no one's fault. It's no one's fault. But like, how do you make this work? You have to like choose to love and, appreciate people for who they are. And I mean, that will probably continue to be the most unexpected thing. I entered 10 years ago. Like that's just like the whole decade thing has been like a big chunk of my life.
But it's different than a marriage where you have some choice in the matter, of who you're going to spend the rest of your life with. Now they can change and you might have difficulty living with the person, but it's not like being a sister in community and there's all these different personalities walking through the door.
Mother Mary Teresa has a quote. She says, like, it is the Lord who threw us together.
Threw us together. Not brought us together. Shoved us.
Providence to it. We just because we all experience that. We're like, he knows what's best for us. And some of the most beautiful moments in my religious life happened when I didn't expect, to maybe connect with somebody. And then that happened or somebody reached out to me that I didn't expect.
Well, I was so excited to get into the topic. I forgot about our amazing coffee here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Is this something that you make regularly? You made this one.
I've tried it. Maybe this is like my third round with whipped coffee.
Whipped coffee.
Whipped coffee. I know. I had no idea that it had properties capable of
whipping.
Like aerating. Yeah, it's just instant espresso, sugar, and water.
And then that's the whipped part.
Right.
And then you mixed it with whole milk?
Whole milk.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, whole milk always. I don't. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't
for your cereal, anything?
Well, if I'm going to drink it, and it's usually with coffee, then it's whole milk. Okay. But otherwise, I guess I don't really care what it is.
All right, so it's separated right now. We got the
more for aesthetic.
Yeah.
But to taste better together, and then it gets.
It almost looks like peanut butter.
Yeah, I know.
Like
it gets a little frothy, so you can do what you want.
Are you mixing?
I'll probably mix. Yeah, I'll probably mix it a little bit, but because
this looks so good. Looks like a dessert. Is it going to be pretty sweet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. Oh my. That is good.
Mm-hmm.
Very rich.
Yes. Yeah.
That's good.
I will confess that it was also the easier option to other things I thought of, but
Really?
yeah. KitchenAid.
It looks a little
Throw it in.
Okay. Yeah. What else were you thinking about?
Cold brew.
Uh-huh.
But in order to have a cold brew, you have to almost like a day in the fridge.
Yeah.
So
I just started doing cold brew.
how do you do it?
I saw anywhere from 16 to 32 hours.
Yeah.
So I just try to fall somewhere in there. It's usually probably 20.
Mm-hmm.
I've only done it 2 or 3 times. But I made a big batch of it.
Yeah.
They say it can keep in the fridge for a week.
Oh, yeah.
So I made a big batch and just pour a little at a time.
Yeah, easy morning routine.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
All right. Would you say that living the life of a religious sister is easy?
No. I don't know. Question mark? I wouldn't.
I think some might say you have things taken care of for you. You don't have to worry about
True.
getting fired from your job and not having
I know.
an income, or you're not worried about your own biological children and their formation, their safety, their financial stability, their college fund, all those different things, insurance, all these different things. It might say that seems like the easy life. I could handle that. Just kind of things are taken care of for me. Decisions might be made for me for better or for worse.
For better or for worse.
but a little bit more stability, or I don't know, a little less kind of demands. It might seem like.
Yes. And I would agree with that.
Okay.
I think maybe the difficulty goes deeper, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, that the stresses and things of a lay family in the world, we need insurance for the kids. They need to get to the doctor. So that, I don't have, which I'm thankful. But that it doesn't mean that things are taken away from my mental energy to then just have free open space to hang out and do what I want to do.
Yeah.
Then okay, then that's the Lord's invitation. Okay, we're going to go deeper, and you need to go deeper in loving my sisters, in pursuing holiness, in the gospel mandate, in sacrificing too. That I do have hopefully a greater capacity to sacrifice for a wider range of people. Yeah, sometimes the tinge of not making your own quote decisions hurts more than sometimes than it does at other times.
Sure.
So I guess there's a double edge sword to that.
It seems like part of that is designed, whether by the order itself or by God, to also free up more time for prayer. A little less of these responsibilities and stressors so that you can focus more on prayer. Whereas in the family life, we might have a harder time fitting in an hour of adoration every day with the busyness of family and life and work, so that you can pray for us.
Right.
So that you can pray for the church. And I think maybe that's something that's hard for us as lay people to think we should be praying that much too, and maybe feel guilty for not having that much prayer. And maybe that's rightfully so. Maybe we should be praying more than we are. I feel like that's probably always the case. You always should be praying more than you are.
No matter what vocation you have. Yeah.
But do you find that's kind of freed you up to be able to spend more time in prayer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I find prayer can't be taken out of your actual life. So if you're thinking beating yourself up because you have a family and you just had a new kid or whatever your situation is, and you're man, I really should be praying more. Yes. And I'm not going to be the one to tell you that changing a diaper is a prayer. I mean, that's not, I would choose other words for that. It's a sacrifice.
Yeah.
Which I guess is prayer, but it's not, it's still, there's still a sacrifice in that, not just, it's your prayer. I think it should be a little cutesy.
It shouldn't take the place of prayer.
Right. Yeah, you shouldn't paint it with this cutesy thing when sometimes it's just not, and that's okay.
It's living out your vocation. It's something that you're called to do. It's a sacrifice in service of someone else. Those are all good things.
Right.
Not prayer.
Right. Yeah. There's no equal sign for me anyway. Your whole life is, you can't compartmentalize it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you do need times of prayer. So then the Lord inviting me into religious life, saying probably the first is well, you you need this time in order to listen to what I want to talk to you about. Like, you need this time set aside and the support and the sisters that are in the chapel with me, at different times of the day to pray. That is a gift to me. And then hopefully a gift to everyone that I come in contact with, because again, my life should come from my prayer.
Do you think that some of that comes from this idea of these acts of service are prayer? Does that come from St. Paul saying we're supposed to pray without ceasing? And so then the only way we can justify that is say that, well, then these things that I have to do must be a form of prayer.
Yeah, but then...
For me to be able to pray without ceasing. Well, I have to change diapers, so that must be a prayer.
Right. But then I think the temptation can then be to like exchange everything. Like, well,
right.
I have to do this, or like it's Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon, and I was really setting aside time, but I really probably should get to this obscure outdoor project that I really need to start for my family. Just like, I think then we can start. Yeah, I guess it just depends on how where our mind is when we're doing things.
So speaking of prayer, you are part of a religious order that prides itself with, maybe not pride is the right word.
Well, a healthy pride, maybe.
Perpetual Adoration. Sisters of St. Francis of Perpetual Adoration. Did I say that right?
You did.
Okay.
Very good.
I always get confused with the other one.
Yeah, note to everyone in the diocese, we are not the Franciscan Sisters of Perpetual Adoration. Those are different people.
Yes.
Okay.
Sisters of St. Francis of Perpetual Adoration. So what does that mean, I guess, start with, and then why was that something that was important to you?
I've had the luxury of thinking about that question. Like, I'm supposed to be able to communicate to people how wonderful this life is and why I'm here.
As a vocations director.
Right, as a vocation director. So then, like, well, why am I here? Why did I show up? Why is this such a wonderful life? From the beginning, like, Perpetual Adoration became like a deal breaker. I didn't think about it that way. I didn't say like, well, the community has to have Perpetual Adoration. I was just seeing other communities. I was like, I'd rather have Jesus exposed in the Blessed Sacrament. Yeah, when I think about that more, two things are kind of coming to mind of like, one of our sisters, I was talking to her recently, and she said, St. Francis had this lament that he said, love is not loved. And that would just like tear his heart open, that love is not loved. That's all Jesus wants to do, is to love, and he is love.
But he's not loved
in the world.
Because we don't love him back.
Right.
God, who is love, is not being loved by his beloved, his creation.
So at the very least, we have sisters that are deciding to do that. And like, that's their hope when they're in there for that. A lot of sisters have at least an hour a day, sometimes two. That's what they're doing. They're offering Jesus love. And he deserves that. And he loves us in return. And when I was first attracted to the sisters, and when I think a lot of young women, when they are, we do have a joy of being together, but also that joy is rooted in our Eucharistic spirituality, that we spend, that time in quiet just with Jesus, looking at him, being present to him, and he being present to us, and he's our joy. So then we live that out like with our sisters and our like family life. Like the hallmarks of like that spirituality of adoration has been, I guess, really formed to me too.
Can we take a step back and talk about what adoration is and how it's a different form of prayer?
I kind of like equate adoration with presence. During the Mass was really, in the beginning, the only time for the faithful to be with the Eucharistic presence of Jesus and to receive him and to see him. So then like developing this practice of Eucharistic adoration to actually be able to look upon the beloved and have him look upon you. That's how I know myself, is through his eyes. And that's how I come to know him. And liken it to the couple that, you talk and you should talk, but you also like spend time in quiet together too. And that's a sign of intimacy when you can be in quiet together, in each other's presence, maybe looking at the same thing or just in silence. That's a sign of intimacy.
You're talking about being in the presence at Mass, being kind of the only time you were in the physical presence of Jesus in the Eucharist, and adoration being that time where you expose the Blessed Sacrament, the Eucharist, the true presence of Jesus. I heard somebody compare that to when the priest elevates the host, which is now the body of Christ, almost putting a pause button on that moment.
Yes.
And where we only might get 2 to 7 seconds at Mass.
Depending on the priest.
Yeah. It's now put in a monstrance so that we can sit there and just take your time.
Yeah.
Stare, pray, be in that presence, be in that moment.
Yeah, like that moment is like, that's when we sing like the great amen.
Right.
Like we're like staking our life on everything that just happened and trying to give him like all the praise and glory. And yeah, why don't we need more time to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've also heard some criticism though that sometimes we can put such an emphasis on adoration and forget the amazing gift that we were actually able to receive that into our body, into our mouth at the Mass.
Yeah.
And that the reception of the Eucharist is really the highlight.
Yeah.
The pinnacle of the Mass, of prayer, of anything. It's the source and summit.
Exactly. Adoration and any other form of liturgical or paraliturgical prayer like is an extension of that Mass, because that's when heaven touches down is right then. So yeah, I like that. Like there's like this pause button,
right.
You know, like when you're in a movie and then like the scene is like all this action is happening and then like, you know, the two protagonists lock eyes and then like everything around them goes blurry and like the music is like deadened and they're just like locked in on each other.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what it's like.
I like that. All right. Well, I was hoping we could talk a little bit about vocations director, but maybe we should save that for next time.
Okay.
But also, we've got a whole list of more kind of hot button, controversial subjects, some of those things that are kind of hard for us as Catholics to accept church teaching that we're going to be hitting on too. So it's going to be a ride.
I'm pumped.
Okay. Well, thank you for the whipped coffee. It's delicious.
You're very welcome.
This might be my favorite ever coffee drink.
Wow.
It's really good.
I'm touched.
You can follow me on social media at Kyle Heimann or follow the show at Kyle Heimann Show. And until next time, remember to leave room for the Holy Spirit.